Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Got another look at an early access cruiser here in World of Warships Legends for the Spanish fleet. We're looking at the Tier 6 Asturias. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's allegedly named after a real person. This ship is a paper ship. This ship and the Tier 7 were both designs made by the Ansaldo Company of Italy for Spain because they were kind of ideological allies before and in World War II. You had Franco, who was pretty much a dictator over in Spain, and you had, of course, Mussolini in Italy. Spain, however, was neutral in the war. That's neither here nor there, but, just saying. Allegedly neutral. Although they strongly probably agreed with Germany and Italy ideologically, they were neutral. So this is a paper ship just with a different gun layout than the Tier 7. Instead of reposting the same picture, I actually found a picture of a real ship named Princess Asturias, which was probably from pre-World War I, 1908-ish era. So that is what you see in the title card. I found this ship to be pretty uninspiring, to be frank. Even with this ready rack, the only ship that I found really fun to play was the Tier 7. We're going to show you, I guess, maybe what you can expect to do out here in the Asturias when you're playing down here. But basically, just like any other cruiser, you want to lessen your chances of being fired at and maximize your chances of setting fires. Now, something I'll note, I don't think I noted it in the actual video. The Tier 5 has turning torpedoes, but none of the other ships do. And whether that's because these are paper ships, I would just love to hear the rationalization from Wargaming as to why. It's something that people like me like to hear the whys, and when they're not provided, it makes me very suspicious. I can't imagine there's a balancing aspect to having turning torpedoes versus regular torpedoes. So I would just love to hear why the Tier 5 ship had turning torpedoes and the Tier 6 and 7 do not. And in fact, no other Spanish cruiser that I can recall has them. So just would love to hear an explanation as to why. Because quite frankly, if turning torpedoes is something that you put in to make something more powerful, I think you're vastly overestimating the average player's ability. Nobody gives a fuck about turning torpedoes. All right, they don't. Because they can behave unpredictably when you're trying to turn them. All right, so we're shooting at the Plymouth out here. Really hoping, that reminds me, I need to go play today so I can get that calendar unlock for that calendar commander. And then Sunday, I've been traveling back and forth, preparing to move again. So even though I just moved last year, I'm in the middle of a move right now. And it's a little bit more complicated because last time when I moved, I had help. Basically, I loaded up a moving truck and away we went with a friend. And I don't have that this time. I don't have a moving truck. So I'm driving 17 hours round trip. I do it in 2 days. So I've already done it twice. I'm probably going to be doing it Sunday and Monday, and then maybe again later in the week. And then I did hire a moving company to move some really big stuff. So I'm doing my best with the videos, but I can't promise they will be out with regularity. All right, we're still moving around in the Asturias, doing our thing. We've got Iowa up here, who has almost no health left, and another cruiser who is busy hiding behind a rock. We've got the Plymouth out there, and I think there's at least one other ship. I'm just gambling right now, hoping that the battleship has moved on. The battleship back in like Charlie 3. I'm hoping that battleship has moved on. We got two cruisers over here. The Iowa and I are moving up together. The Iowa's going to stick his nose out, and I guarantee you he's going to get killed, armor piercing through the bow plate. But what do I know? I just started playing this game 6 years ago. I guarantee you that's going to happen because it's happened to me many times. All right, so the Plymouth was going to launch torpedoes, but it appears to be retreating. All right, I guess the armor piercing to the bow didn't work after all. We're going to launch some torpedoes really close to the rock. We are trying to get a better shot here out at Plymouth. Back towards the Citadel, we get 3 Citadel hits and a torpedo strike on top of it for our first kill. All right, I would really love to finish off the second cruiser out here, but I think one of my teammates is going to kill that cruiser before we can get to it. Fine by me. Here come the torpedoes. They're very slow, almost as slow as my torpedoes. So they're pretty easy to dodge. And right now you can see we have a 1-ship lead, which just went away. It's now 4v4. And Miyoko, I don't know Miyoko. All right, Miyoko got killed. All right, so we got a Borodino way over there. So here you're going to see, I'm not saying my teammates played this the wrong way. I'm not blaming them at all. I'm just saying that there are limitations to what you can do in a cruiser when you're up against battleships. All right, Borodino. We are getting our gun zeroed in. Don't have a ton of range with these cruisers, so we're going to try to set the Borodino on fire. There is the benefits of the Ready Rack, 2 salvos right off the bat. Can we set the Borodino on fire? Ouch. No, we can't. Maybe because he maneuvered, my second set of shells totally missed. Here we're going to do what I love to do in a cruiser, is hide behind an island and light up the Borodino with a couple other salvos. He appears to be turning away, but we do set him on fire, thankfully. I think he's turning away because of the torpedoes, but I don't know. That's just my guess. He's shooting back. Will those shells actually hit me because we're behind a rock? Oh, never mind. That was someone else. All right. Borodino's still turning. One of our teammates gets killed who's out in the open water. I don't know what happened there. Getting some cap reset flags. Unfortunately, we can't set the Borodino on fire again, although he is already burning. And I'm just hoping to get a reload here. All right, now remember, when you get that calendar commander unlocked, if you're using the legendary skill, I think it might be called revolver, you would have 3 shells in the ready rack instead of 2, but you have a much longer reload. So, and that's the thing, the ready rack doesn't do partial reloads. You have to expend it. So if you're shooting one, you need to shoot them all, everything in the ready rack. In most cases, I would recommend shooting them all because you're not going to reload. Now, granted, if you shoot 1 shell and you have 2 shells left and the ship dies that you're shooting at, well then, yeah, I wouldn't do a reload. But if you shoot twice, you might as well shoot the 3rd time. Just my opinion. All right, we're trying to get more out of the Iowa. Can our shells make it over the island? Will the Iowa still be spotted? I think that was part of my problem. I wanted more spotting of these ships. They're going to go dark here at some point. It was just like, hey, destroyer who is quote-unquote spotting, what are you doing? Right there, 1 goes dark. Can't shoot at the Iowa. All right, there's the Borodino again. And then he goes to Arc again. And it was like, hey, I really would love to know where he is so I could shoot at him some more. And this cruiser who's putting up the radar or whatever, please retreat from the battlefield. So my teammates do start doing smart stuff, which is capturing bases. And I guess I'm gonna be the one drawing the fire of the enemy ships here, which should be very entertaining. And nobody spotted right now. All right, Iowa. We're just gonna shoot it. Oh, and the Borodino already shot, and we get punched there.
I need intelligence data.
And this is again where the spotting is falling short. And something I want to mention, I would trade my fighter plane for DFAA. I think right now the DFAA swaps with the sonar. I would love for any ship with DFAA to be able to swap with the fighter plane or vice versa. There are so many ships I have a fighter plane on, and I discount the fighter plane totally as being fucking worthless. But I would swap that for DFA. We're not in a cruiser, we're not in a carrier match. It doesn't matter for this match, but I just thought I would mention it. That Wargaming, if you ever watch this video when you're drunk at midnight, please let us swap out this fucking worthless fighter plane for DFA. Just saying. All right, we get some hits on the Iowa. Another cap defendant flag. The start-stop of these cruisers are just so fucking terrible. Oh my god, just terrible. But thankfully the Iowa is either aiming elsewhere or he was drunk. Now we're getting shot from way over somewhere else by another ship. All right, Borodino, back to that. Close range, can we light him up? Yes, we set him on fire. I don't have a torpedo left on that side because I shot them at Iowa. The third ship is now shooting at me. We are going to torp at the Borodino, and I want to say I'm going to regret this torp in about a minute, but we're torping. Oh, see? He started maneuvering and slowing down and shit, and then fucked myself, and then I shot, and he disappeared, and I fucked myself. And then we took a fucking big punch from the Iowa there. But basically, I guess what I'm saying is by drawing all this fire, I allow my teammates to do other stuff, to flip caps and whatnot. All right, the Baltimore did kill that other cruiser off screen, so I'm left to distract the Borodino and the Iowa. Yeah, protect that target. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks. Borodino, is he still burning? He is still burning. He dodged my torps, but he is still burning. All right, and then, oh, they're telling me to get back. Really? Should I get back? I don't know. I think I want to go into the cap against two battleships that are up, the top tier in the match, and I'm a down tier. I think I do want to do that. Why would I want to get back? I mean, seriously. You're only supposed to tell somebody to get back right before they're... Oh, like right now you should tell me to get back. Because I have almost no health left. That's the only time you're allowed to tell somebody to get back. How we lived there, I don't know. I think the Iowa is drunk. Because I definitely should have been dead. We are still maneuvering. We are still shooting. And still setting fires. Another fire in the Borodino. We dodged some more shells. Meanwhile, you can see that my teammates are capping Charlie because I'm distracting the enemy. And this is totally viable strategy. We've escaped death again. I have no idea how. Obviously, our torpedoes are totally going to miss. We were waiting to shoot at Borodino. Salvo number 1 is out. Probably going to miss. Salvo number 2 is out and probably going to miss. They're all probably going to miss. But you know, I have 352 hit points left. What do you want from me? Still turning. Actually, we did get a couple of hits. We are not burning. Somebody else lit the boarding on fire. Probably the Baltimore. We're probably going to be dead. Shoot, shoot. We are dead. All right. I got some shots out. Will they set another fire? No. All right. So we died in the last minute of the match. And we end up winning the match. Look at that. All right, here on the victory screen, no medals, 93,059 total damage, 120 main battery hits. Looks like just one torpedo strike, 1 kill, 3 hits to Citadel, 3 cap defended flags, 1 assisted base cap, and a hand job medal. I end up with 302,112 silver, 9,000 ship XP, 9,400 commander XP, and Asturias with the base commander. It's about as high as he's going to get, 14-2. All right, we didn't finish at the top of the board, but we finished third, 2374. I think that's what that says, base XP, 1 kill, and the 2 ships that lived were above me on the board. They both had good games, so I mean, we didn't do terrible for being down tier. Let's go into the port and take a look at the ship. All right, in terms of the upgrades, we went with Aiming System Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 2, Concealment System Mod 1, and the Asturias is fully upgraded. Taking a look at the loadout, we've got HE, AP, and regular torpedoes, unlimited charges, the damage control party, 3 charges of an almost worthless repair party, 3 charges of a short-range sonar, which you could swap if you're exceedingly stupid with defensive AA fire, and 4 charges of largely worthless catapult fighter. We were using the Epic Ship XP booster and the Rare Battle booster for movement speed and cooldown time, standard permanent camouflage, and the 2 years strong flag. Taking a look at the specs. 39,600 hit points, up from the base value of 37,200. 4% torpedo damage reduction, and a 30% fire resistance, up from 27%. Main battery, 4 twin 203mm turrets. Firing range 15.4 kilometers, up from 13.6 with our build. Reload 24 seconds, down from 26 seconds. The ready rack reloads every 2.5 seconds, and the shells in the ready rack is just 2. Shell grouping value, main battery turn time 25.7. Shell grouping value 2.26, up from 2.15. The orange numbers are slightly worse than stock. The green numbers are better than stock. So max range dispersion, bad. Median range dispersion, good. HE shells, 3,100 max damage, 18% fire chance, up from 15%, 34mm armor pen value. And for the AP shells, 5,100 max damage. Armor pen at point blank range, 451 millimeters. Armor pen at max range, 182 millimeters, down from 199. And the fuse arming threshold is 34 millimeters. All right, secondary armament, you got 4 twin 105 millimeter emplacements. Fire out to 5.2 kilometers, up from 5. Reload in 3.3 seconds. Shell grouping value of 1. Dispersion all slightly improved from stock. HE shells, 1,200 max damage with an 8% fire chance, up from 5. And an armor pen value of 26 millimeters. Torpedo launchers, 2 quad launchers. They fire out to 8 kilometers, travel at 61 knots. They reload in 106 seconds. Max damage 14,862, and the detectability is 1,300 meters. AA defense, well, Your secondaries are dual purpose. They do the most damage and fire out to the longest firing range. With our build, these 20 millimeters do an elevated amount of damage, but your best AA is your dual purpose secondaries in terms of range and damage. I don't know what made these ones so much better in terms of damage. I don't. So, well, more accurately, I don't care. All right. Maneuverability, max speed 38.3 knots, 860 meter turning circle, 7.2 second rudder shift time, almost half of the stock value of 14.3. 10 kilometers detectability on the surface, 6.9 from the air, 7.3 if you happen across a smoke screen. We have played 16 matches and won 10 for a win rate of 63%, 42% main battery accuracy, 7% torpedo accuracy. Most of our kills via the main guns. We are averaging 0.6 kills per match, along with 37k damage. We did have a match with 3 kills. That was not the one you just saw. However, the match you just saw was responsible for our max damage and max base XP that you see there. All right, above water citadel, no shocker. This is a cruiser. Put the bow back on. You do have that largely worthless armor belt in the middle of that 16 millimeter bow plating, 50 millimeter armor belt. I think the armor belt on the sides there is 150. It is. Turrets and barbettes. Well, the barbettes and the turret faces are allegedly more heavily armored. Casemate armor. Nothing to write home about. And the auxiliary room and this other stuff just catches on fire. All right, that's the armor profile of Asturias. Again, take a look at the commander. We are using preset 3. Honor before ships, minus sea detectability, plus movement speed. We're using Azer, is this Azer Lane? Haguro. Fire chance, slightly increased, and I think range. And then Scott for accuracy. So a little bit better HE chance here. Burn it down XXL. Look at me now for more concealment. Velocious for more speed. And then here's a change. Steer clear in row 4. So better rudder shift. And then fully packed. That is the Asturias, folks, in early access. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me a comment down below.